Welcome to How I Grew This, where we dive into the world of digital marketing and connect with leaders in the space about how they're scaling, evolving, and growing. Hello, everybody, and welcome to How I Grew This. We have a very special guest today. This is How I Grew This first, I think. We have a return guest. But he's been up to a lot of amazing things since the last time we spoke to him, so definitely worth having him back. Matt Hudson, welcome to How I Grew This again.
Thank you for having me. I keep growing, so.
Yeah, there's more growth to discuss. It's been a long time since you've been on, and you've been up to a lot. Since you're a seasoned pro, why don't you give our audience a little introduction to who you are?
I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to, so that was probably a mistake. But
not many people are going to get that one. I do, though.
Is it too old now? It's too old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry. It was a good one. It was good for this crowd, but not very well other. To those that don't know, that's a hip hop song that was really good. Okay, I really liked it.
You can do a few bars if you want. We can
I just did.
That's your wall. That's your.
That's all you're getting out of me. Okay, I don't have any musical talent. I just recite lyrics. So what have I been up to? Well, BILDIT continues growing. We've transitioned our CMS from a mobile app only CMS to a really Next.js and a web CMS. So that's exciting. Our mobile app platform continues to grow. We've got some billion-dollar companies coming in. And yeah, we just keep learning and growing and improving. And so, when I think about how I grew this, I think about, how did I grow personally? How did I go revenue-wise? All of those things. And hopefully we can help some other people grow too.
I'm going to get to that in a minute, but just to give us more kind of background on your company, who are your clients? Who do you work with? You mentioned billion-dollar clients, but or billion-dollar companies. Tell us a little bit about the kind of the profile of the people you're working with and the profile of the companies you work with.
I would say really any e-commerce site is somebody that we might work with. Primarily, we do work with large retailers, but we're growing downstream, and we want to try to work with mid-tier and smaller companies and give them some help. Because we have always been very focused on mobile app, that has always attracted large retailers. But now that we are in web and Next.js in particular, and especially starting to see Shopify, Plus picking up, we want to work with those customers too and provide great experiences for them. So our primary business is we like to call ourselves a visual experience engine. And our website doesn't actually talk about it that much because we've only recently discovered it. But if you've got a headless CMS and you manage and you want to build something really killer inside your mobile app or your website, particularly Next.js website, we give you the ability to make really killer templates. And then the CMS itself delivers our code. So you want to make Instagram style stories, you can roll that out. You want to update your logo and schedule it as a, Santa hat in December, you can do that. You want to put a carousel in your search bar, I know that sounds crazy. Why would you want to do that? You wouldn't. But point is, you can do that. So we manage every component of your front end and allow you to schedule it and deploy it remotely. And that really allows you to make really killer and sophisticated content on all channels.
Is the majority of the reason you work with larger clients because a smaller client can't really justify creating a mobile app specifically for the business because they have to worry about, end to end? They're too small to diversify and actually create a mobile app.
Don't get me on my soapbox because I'm going to start pitching everybody on why they need mobile app, even if you're small. Yeah, I would say that's probably part of it, but also our case studies are with enterprises. My personal experiences with enterprises. And so I just think we attract enterprises. And because we do very little marketing, at least up to this point, a lot of smaller companies aren't aware of us, and it's really just about who we go sell to. But this year, we're heavily focused on our visual experience engine, personalization, and AI down the road. We've got lots of experiments in the roadmap that we're learning. But when we put that out, it's going to be a poignant solution, not just a bolt-on solution. Yeah, from my perspective on the mobile app front of things, I've always had a framework, and it's actually, there's a Forbes article about this as well that I helped with. And basically, there's 5 points. So if you're a smaller company, you can figure out if you need a mobile app. If you have more than 50,000 SKUs, you definitely need a mobile app. If you have a store, if you have a physical store and you don't have a mobile app, you're making a huge mistake. There was actually a study that shows that 50% more people use their mobile app if there's a store within 25 miles. I think that's an incredible study that tells you that the use case of mobile app is your loyal customers. In other words, they use your mobile app because they trust you, because they're going to spend more, and because there's a store nearby that, obviously regionally makes sense. So these are your most loyal customers. So that leads to the next part. If you have a loyalty program, if you want customers to come back and you have a loyalty program and you don't have a mobile app giving them the easiest way to come back, then you're really putting the cart before the horse. And then I would just say the last bit is just kind of revenue based, right? Like, if you are a $500 million company or even $100 million company, I think you probably need a mobile app. Sure, if you sell $100 million of one product, then maybe not. But any diversity of catalog, um, you know, younger customers is what people think of. But the truth is that there's an app I worked on for many years that anybody who knows me knows this, but it has more 50 to 55 plus customers than 18 to 24. More. So don't tell me that my grandma's not using the app. My grandma is using the app, okay? Now, maybe not every app, but if she likes your business and she's really loyal to it, she's going to use it.
All right, I'm a small client. I am on Shopify, right? So I'm an e-commerce company. I use Shopify. Why do I need a mobile app?
Again, if you have a small number of products, probably don't, right? If people are coming back once a year, probably don't, right? But if you've got a loyalty program and they come back every month, then you better give them the best way to buy. Now, Shopify is a little tricky because they have the Shop app. So the Shop app is obviously, provides small companies the ability to have a mobile app experience. Now, I don't think that there's a ton of people using the Shop app. I mean, I do have it and it's nice. It's a good app. I'm not 100% sure that people are even that aware of it.
I wasn't actually.
It's more
Yeah,
that
it's
background use case of how it just pops up within your typical e-commerce flow that I think most people interact with it, right?
Yes, exactly. And Shop Pay obviously drives a lot of that, and Shop Pay is extremely popular because it's so freaking good, to be honest with you. I really actually like Shop Pay, and I like Apple Pay and all the others too, but Shop Pay does a lot of really nice things, particularly if you are a small store. So if you're a Shopify, I would say if you're a Shopify Plus customer with a loyalty program, with a diverse SKU set, then and you have a loyal customer that wants to use your app, that's what you should do. I'll give you an example. My 18-year-old nephew, actually he's probably 20 now. My
Happy
20-year-old
birthday a couple
I
of
know,
times.
no, I don't know how old he is. Hopefully he's not watching this. He's not on LinkedIn. But
In
he
a matter
doesn't
of time.
even know that Instagram has a website. Right? So like when you think about that, I always ask some older people that are like, "Wow, we don't need mobile app." I asked the head of Commerce Tools this. I didn't know that he was one of the founders, and I was like, "Listen, do you use Instagram?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Do you use the app?" "Yeah." "Why don't you use the Instagram website?"
If you think
It's
apps
because it's
shouldn't
a better
exist.
experience and because you come back to it and it's super fast. And by the way, you also don't have to log in. People don't
Yep.
want to log in and type. They want to just click, click,
No.
click. You got 2 minutes on a mobile. Adam, you're getting me on my soapbox. They got 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes in the Starbucks line or in the line at school waiting to pick up your kids, right? Or in my case, like 10 minutes in the stupid kids line. Not stupid kids, stupid line.
Stupid line. Great
Sorry,
kids.
kids, and my kids actually my kids do listen to this. Anyway, point is you got a very small amount of time to capture that sale. So if they're a returning customer that's like, "Oh, I really need a t-shirt today." Like I'm a Psycho Bunny guy. I have nothing but Psycho Bunny shirts. If Psycho Bunny
Exhibit
had an
A.
app, I would have it, even though they have a very small catalog, because I really love their shirts. They fit me, they fit my style, they fit my weirdness, they sized right, all that. So yeah, again, loyal customers, it may only be 10% of your customers, but those are the customers that want you the most. They're the ones that spend the most money. By the way, Psycho Bunny, you should definitely have an app. I would definitely use it. because I don't want to log in and I want to go buy the pink version of this new polo that they've got, you know?
Right. And I want to talk about the goals of getting the user base to the app. So when you're working with these companies, what are you seeing in terms of like moving their customer base from web first to app first? And what are some of the goals and deltas that you've been seeing lately?
Number one. And I would tell you that this is number one. I'm going to tell you the reason it's number one first, and then I'm going to tell you what it is. Number one is the entire org of your company, no matter how big or small, has got to be vested in the growth of the mobile app. Here's why. If you have a store and that store has signage that says download the mobile app, or you have associates that tell people to download the mobile app, or you have a price scanner that they can scan the prices inside the mobile app, or get assortments, order online because you don't have a 13 in the store, a size 13 in the store, right? That's my size, which is always oddly out. It's like right on the edge. It's like a little too big, I guess. You know, I'm not really big and tall, but I'm not really normal either.
Or too popular. But yes, all of these things
unlikely. Unlikely. But yes, also if you're out of stock? So anyway, those things are what drive usage. I'm going to lead that into the marketing team. If the mobile app doesn't improve your ROAS, your return on ad spend, nobody's going to do anything with it. If your email doesn't open up your mobile app, your email team is not going to care about the mobile app. Okay? So if it converts better and all of your ads and all of your organic traffic, SEO, Facebook organic, whatever, or paid ads, if those all open mobile app and drive ROAS on that Excel spreadsheet that that the marketing team is accountable to, everybody will care about mobile app, and suddenly it will shoot the moon and grow. And so that is the key. It's an org problem, not a technical problem. However, Apple and Google have so nicely made it very challenging to open the mobile app without a partner like Branch or whomever. And so attribution and all of those things are still very important. When I was running a big mobile app, what I noticed is once the marketing team cared about the app, suddenly it grew like crazy. And it wasn't just me on the technical side of things making the experience great, which we did. And don't get me wrong, making the experience great is the most important because that's what leads to the marketing team caring. But if your mobile app is always number two and nobody cares and you're rolling it out on web and the emails don't open it and it's buggy and everybody's got to log in, then the marketing team's never going to care about it. So everybody's got to go all in. The IT team's got to get rid of the friction, and the marketing team has got to have their attribution model tied into the mobile app.
Totally.
We have a client, a number of clients actually, who have a web team and they have an app team, and they are completely separate, and they get separate attribution, and they have separate budgets,
And
and
they
they
fight.
fight. They fight, and
Well, yeah,
sometimes
they
they're
don't
like,
wanna
"Well, we don't want
cannibalize
to drive, right?
the web.
We don't want to cannibalize web traffic."
You
It's
know
like,
who doesn't care about cannibalization? The customer.
The customer.
Right.
They want the best
You know what the
experience.
customer
They want
wants?
the
They want
easiest
the best
experience to convert.
experience.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. And sometimes it's web, and sometimes it's app. If I'm on my desktop, I definitely don't want mobile app, right? But dude, I don't want to have to log in, and mobile app is the only place you can get persistent login.
You know, unless you're buying something on desktop and then pop up a QR code at the end of get notifications of when, your order's coming
That's
or
true.
whatever
I mean,
it
that's
is.
fancy pants.
Creating those
You're way ahead of the ball
creating
on
those
that.
fancy experiences. Hey, it's pretty cool. So tell me about how you drive that mindset shift within an organization to get everyone bought into the app outside of building a great app that is, that experience that's going to drive those users there in the first place.
I don't know if this is going to apply to everybody, but I am relentless. I would sit
bang
at
on the
people's
doors.
desks. I would sit at people's desks and be like, "Why isn't email opening mobile app?" I would go to the email team and be like, Anjali or Anna, I'm sorry, who I sat next to. By the way, having your app team sit next to your marketing team physically, also good. I got to know them,
Okay,
become friends
love
with
that
them.
pro tip. Nice.
Yeah, no, seriously, like those things matter. Culture matters a lot, and self-promotion of increasing conversion, like getting the CEO to buy in because the conversion rate was higher. That's what made the stores buy in. So once the conversion rate was higher and they saw a true incremental lift, but yeah, man, ground pounding. I mean, it was not easy. It was not easy. Yeah, it was not. Honestly, the growth has got to be seen by people, and then people have to buy in, and personal relationships matter. The technical bits matter.
Proximity matters, and showing those
Proximity.
frustrating experiences. If you're on your mobile device and you have the app, you should be taken there from wherever
Nothing
you
makes me
click.
more mad though when companies put their mobile app second because they think that the web is more important. To this day, I have customers who prioritize their web even though it gets less traffic and revenue than their mobile app. And that
And
Just
blows my mind.
legacy of
just
the
because
past.
of habits, or
I think it's because the CEO looks at the desktop version, maybe. I really don't know. I really don't know. Maybe habits, maybe it's because they work on web. It's a alignment of incentives, maybe. If you work on web, if you got a cross-functional team that works on both, it's kind of like that whole customer-centric view. Like if you have a customer-centric org, then you stop caring about cannibalization because all you really care about is the top-line metrics. If your bonuses are based upon your channel's revenue versus the overall revenue, well, then you're de-incentivizing the wrong thing, right? Like if mobile app grows, then we're competing with web. It's like stores competing with web. Stores don't compete with the web inside customers' mind. They just think you're all the same. Sorry, I'm
exactly.
getting all a little
It's
worked
not
up.
it's one brand, one relationship. And it's very
It
tricky for a lot of
absolutely is.
brands to
There's
get
no
that right
such
because
thing as
they sit in their
cannibalization.
silos in their pockets. Right.
There is no such
No.
thing as
Thank
cannibalization.
you for
People should
sharing
get
that.
that idea out of their mind. Either the money is coming in the bank or it is not. And whatever drives the most money in the bank is that gives people great jobs and ability to have a great life at their employer is what we should do. And not just look at did I get a reward for being the best in the channel. But look, I get that goes against the grain, and I in case you didn't notice, I'm a little weird, so
Wonderfully weird in the best of ways. Okay, so you work with a lot of best-in-class apps today. What are some of the things that they're doing that the best are doing right now? What trends are you seeing with those that are making their way up the App Store?
I would say moving to React Native from the technological side has enormous benefits because of the org benefits. So, what I mean by that is if your web team is React and your mobile app is React Native, then your org suddenly everybody is starting to work switch back and forth and be cross-functional, and that means that your IT team is also bought into your app, and that means that your app is getting a better experience, and it means your iOS app and your Android app are getting the same experience basically, right? They're slightly different. And so I think that one technical decision can be a really beneficial decision because it allows you to move at the speed. The website gets PayPal, mobile app gets PayPal. Website gets performance improvements on the APIs, mobile app gets performance improvements on the APIs. As long as the more disjointed those two things are in the org, the more poor experiences the user has. If I've got to have an Android team and an iPhone team and separated, which look, I'm a native guy, okay? I loved native for years, but if in e-commerce, it doesn't really make that much sense. The experience is basically a container experience. And also Android and iPhone, let's just be honest, they're basically meshing in the way that they look and the way that they feel, right? Anyway, my point is in order to not leave anybody behind, the technical team needs to be able to deliver as fast as the web. And the web team, if they can work on mobile app, will also be bought into it. So I would say switching to that so that they can move faster, having all of your channels open up mobile app so that there's a focus on it, right? Again, driving the attribution. Heavily personalized content, whether that's push notifications, order notifications, integrating with geo. It's kind of an optimization, but knowing where somebody is and giving them a store mode if they have store mode. I mean, I personally, now look, not everybody can do this, but I personally really love like when you can self-checkout from the mobile app, delivering app clips from, being able to pull up an app clip without having the app downloaded. All of the wallets are extremely important. Even Google Pay now is important. Yeah, wallets is a big one, I think, actually. So
I'm going to jump in on GEO, generative engine optimization, or I call it AIO. I don't know what's going to take off. GEO sounds like
I call it AIO too, but
coordinates.
nobody else does. They all call it
Well,
AEO, which is
let's
weird.
let's
hold the
change the
torch.
world. AIO from now
Right?
on,
I feel like
everyone.
it obviously should be AIO. Right.
I
Anyway.
say
So
AIO.
I'm asking everyone I come across, what are people currently doing to optimize for LLM discovery? And what should be people doing?
Okay, not enough, including us. But well, let me start with why it's important. I forget exactly who did this survey, but something like 15% of traffic clicks used to come from a search on Google, and now only 8%. So because Google is summarizing your website, you are losing clicks.
You don't have to go down.
I heard it's actually a tenth.
15%.
click out.
I'm saying that's the minimum, right? It's probably less, right? Really, that's just what the most recent survey, which was probably like 6 months ago. And it's only going to get worse. So you're going to have you only have a few options, right? Which is don't let AI index you. Probably not a great idea. Optimize and hope you get mentioned, but very hard to do. Not going to be as easy as SEO because of the way chat works. And I'll explain that in a minute. And and they're going to keep eating your traffic. They want to be the glass. See, ChatGPT in particular doesn't consider Google to be their biggest competitor, which I disagree. They think Apple is their biggest competitor. The reason is because they want to replace apps. They want you to get everything from your chat. They want to own the glass, right? Now, I think that's a little bit ridiculous.
The GPT App Store, which no one uses, that's one of the reasons they launched that.
True. I mean, there's a million reasons, but yeah, that definitely is part of it too, right? Like, point is, they want to own all of it, right? And look, I think competing with Google is big enough. Let me know when you beat Google, and then we can talk about Apple, okay? Which is probably not going to happen. But anyway, the reason I am saying that is because it's going to become more and more important, and the more people use it. The other day, it was my wife's and I's anniversary on the 11/3. And I had this weird feeling of like, let me just order some flowers with Siri, which I hate Siri. But if she worked and if I could order from her, that's the scenario that I would use AI for. A high trust, high intent buy, right? That's got to be there. And so let me roll it back to where I was. How do you get listed? How do you get mentioned in there? The fact that it's important, now you know, right? But how do you get listed? You have to be authoritative. In other words, SEO is about showing indexing who you are and making people aware, and the SEO picks up everything on your website and says, are you related? Chat actually works differently. It is a paradigm. It is replacing search. But the paradigm that is different is that it tries to find authoritative sources. In other words, it cares more about not being wrong as an intelligence than it does about just showing you a link that's available. Google cares about showing you a link. Chat cares about giving you an authoritative answer and being correct. What that means is you got to show up in authoritative sources like Reddit, Quora, FAQs, etc.
Like the valued, trusted opinion of a person goes a long way with chat too, right? The customer case studies, the forums where people are giving advice and sharing experiences.
Podcasts.
Right. But also, like, your whole website is built everything is built so that it can be read by a user and indexed, of course, too, but with beautiful graphics and all of this information. And chat is just looking for the data, right? So
That's true. However, I think that might change. Now, this is a very forward-looking thing. This is not how it is today. But in SEO world, they index your website, meaning they grab the HTML off. And most cases, chat also does that. But keep in mind that eventually chat wants to bring images into their platform. Remember, their goal is not to send you traffic. It's actually to not send you traffic, right? So that they can put ads on top and make you buy your own traffic back, which, by the way, is bullshit. But
search cannibalization.
Yeah, no, it's very frustrating, actually. I think
budget.
Yeah, absolutely. You better have an ad budget, or you better be really good at being authoritative because your stuff's not going to show up anymore. But the point is that it does index you, just the HTML, and that's true. But it's also looking for something different. It's looking for authoritative sources to back you up where your link is used. It's looking for authoritative copy. It's actually looking at your copy to see, are you saying, it might be this, or are you a doctor that says it is this, right? I know that's a very different paradigm from what people are used to. So the way you talk on those websites is going to determine how chat talks about you or talks using your language, right? When it uses your answers. So it's all about authority. It's not about backlinks, which don't provide authority. It's about somebody liking your answer on Reddit or Bing or Quora or, whatever those engines are, or forums, and being there available to it. Now, also in the future, I do think that you're going to start seeing images and experiences come over into the chat. So you're going to see, maybe your 20% off banner lands in the chat. Because right now it doesn't really know that you have 20% off, right? If you're an e-commerce site. It's not like Google where they're coming every day. Google comes, multiple times a day for big brands and twice as much as ChatGPT in general. So, and I know that because we have indexing on our website. We have an AI pixel that tells us how often and how the AI is viewing it. The AI can also spin up a miniature virtual machine and browse your website with a browser. And
I've heard
don't
that
forget that.
ChatGPT is doing that. They have
Is.
a web agent that goes out and searches, and when you search, it looks for websites. So
And they at
that
some point will
pixel you
probably
have,
consume your images and see what's on your images and not just the text. I
so
would
that
assume.
pixel you have, I'm a retailer. I put that pixel on the website, and you can tell me the traffic profile of who's coming to my site, whether it's an AI bot or not.
We show you the signals and what they're viewing. So our AI pixel does one really simple thing, which is it tells you how and what the AI experience is. Or as you mentioned earlier, AIX, or my brother calls it AIX, which is what is the AI experiencing, right? Because it's not just indexing.
What do you
So,
mean by experiencing? Like seeing the page, what they've
well,
consumed?
think about this. Pretty soon, Google will release a Chrome extension that will allow your AI to click around on websites for you, right?
Yeah, I think OpenAI has that today.
And they do
An app,
inside the
yeah,
chat, right?
in the
But
app,
your
yeah.
entire experience might go through this transitionary period where the AI is clicking for you. So now the AI has a similar experience to somebody with, like, let's say, blindness, right? They can't visually see, but they can pick up your alt text and they can pick up your whatever. So now suddenly you have to think, okay, am I ready for those clicks? Am I ready? Can it read what I am showing? Am I showing just images? Am I showing actual HTML? And we don't really know what it
The
can or cannot
pixel
do.
shows the client what their website looks like to a AI bot.
Well, so it's not quite that advanced, but it tells you, are they browsing it as a browser? Are they faking a human experience like with a browser, so giving you the browser experience? Are they indexing it like you would think that they are? Yes. Are they clicking for you or whatever?
Acting it out over here.
Well, there's a lot of cool things because remember, it can move the mouse. So an example is if the mouse is moving like this, we know it's AI, right? And if it's erratic and got ADD like I do, then it's a human.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
Google Analytics will come in and tell me how many people visited my site. You'll tell me what percentage of those people that came in, what they did. So 10% were bots, 10% were humans, 40%
Well,
were
no, we only tell you
indexers.
if it's a bot. So we'll tell you what bot, our confidence that it was a bot, because many of the bots will try to fake you into thinking it's a human. And we will tell you, was it indexing your site? Or was it searching your site like with using a browser? Or was it just grabbing the HTML only? And it will give a confidence score to how confident we are that it's a bot. So for instance, when I rolled out my pixel, one thing I learned that I had no idea was that TikTok was indexing the site and looking at it. ByteDance, I had no idea.
Why?
I don't know, because they're probably training an AI engine. That's what I would
Yeah,
assume.
that makes
Oh.
sense. So you talked about how it's important to be discovered through authoritative comments. You have a pixel that helps measure. What do you think the direction is, specifically for retail clients? What do you think the direction is? And if you're talking to me and I'm the CTO or CEO of a multi-billion-dollar fashion retail company, what do I need to be thinking about for the future of how to encompass AI for my company?
Amanda, he's very good looking, so he promoted himself to CEO right here in front of us. Right here.
Oh, go on.
So
Oh my God.
the very first thing is preparing your data. Okay, let's talk about two different types of AI. AI for AIO, AI for your customers, right? You better have a very good data system, because personalization is going to be tantamount, right? My ChatGPT talks about my company all the time, so I'll ask it like, "Hey, tell me about James Garfield movie that I was watching the other day," and I swear it was going to be like, "Well, does BILDIT really care about James Garfield?" And I'm like, "It didn't." But the point is, it knows what I'm talking about, and it knows all of my other chats, and it mixes them all together. So you better have your stuff personalized, because what Amanda's going to get is going to be very different from what Adam's going to get, and what it suggests, because it knows that she has searched for red plaid dress shirts, or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. I took a guess. So
So,
their
so,
data better be good, right? They
so,
better
so
know.
OpenAI or whatever the AI can index and apply appropriately. So if it is Amanda, how do I promote red tartan
Right.
plaid
You better
shirts?
know, is AI looking at one specific product? Does that product tell them that it's for women? Or if it's not, you have specs on it, but do you have great descriptions that tell exactly what somebody might look for? Is it in a FAQ format that the engine can consume? It does much better with FAQ formats than it does others. Do you have the schema, JSON LD schema, on the page that it can read better than any? Or are you just relying upon your HTML to pull it up?
Is it accurate? Is it readable? Yeah.
Well, yes, that's true, readable, but if it's in an FAQ format, AI thinks in terms of, am I right or wrong? What's the question, and am I right or wrong? It doesn't think about relation to the keywords, right? So you have to have the FAQs there. So on my red plaid page, right, it should say something like, question, is this great for trendy ladies? Yes, this is actually very good for trendy ladies, right?
Good
Or
for
whatever.
me.
I mean, I'm just throwing out an example, but you should have the questions that people might ask in the chat.
Yeah.
What if they ask something like, hey, is this red plaid shirt really soft? Is it going to fit somebody with a small frame or a large frame? Apple sized, I'm an oddly shaped person. So I would search for things for like, is it going to be good for somebody with love handles?
But when do you balance how many answers you can possibly cover while still being a succinct site or app that people enjoy
Why do you
using?
need to be succinct?
I guess you don't. So is there no limit? Do you just answer every question you can think of?
Does
What's the
chat
advice?
limit you in what you can ask?
Well, there's a context window, but
It doesn't. And
Yeah.
by the way, we are all enamored with it. So you might ask the weirdest questions like, would this look good on a pirate?
Yeah.
Imagine all the things that people could ask, and the crazy people out there. And that's way different than the way that they search.
So you're an e-commerce company or some kind of retailer. You're trying to figure out how to succeed in mobile, how to keep up with AIO, how to do everything in the right way here. So
Good luck.
what are the go ahead. What was it?
Good
Good
luck.
luck.
good luck.
Where does this fit into it of like, hey, you need to cover your bases and really make sure that you are showing up?
First thing is get the blocking and tackling, right? First of all, you should be monitoring if AI is looking at your site. You should pull all of the data out of your CMS and your CDP and whatever you know about that customer and put it on
Yeah.
the page. Now, the good news is it doesn't have to be visible. It's not like SEO, right? They don't It doesn't matter that it's at the top of the page or the bottom of the page. So you can put a giant FAQ under every one of your product details pages and do your best to answer who that's for instead of just in the description, right? So on the technical side, making sure that the schema is there so that it can consume it, making it FAQs, making sure you are getting mentioned in authoritative sources. Again, not just backlinks, but authoritative sources. And you don't always know who those are, right? But yes, it's going to prefer human output. Remember, AI is trying to answer. What it does is it's basically like autocomplete for what a human would answer. So if you think about all the hallucinations out there, it's trying to answer the way a human would answer. And a human sometimes makes things up, as an example, right? Or if it's a young human, it might answer completely wrong or might not understand. So it's doing its best to predict how to answer a question. And if you think about it like that, then what you have to do is provide it the answers on your page in a way that it can read.
This is the first time I've heard someone say you need to start getting customized customer specific data on the site today so the LLMs can start to reference that for their recommendations. The first time I've heard that of like, everyone said like, get your data ready, be ready for personalization when the LLMs are ready. You're saying get it out now so the LLMs can start referencing that now.
I'm just saying you better practice. You better put it out there and see what happens because your traffic's going to drop.
But to your point, what the LLM is doing is trying to predict the tokens that will make up an answer. If you're providing data that the tokens can consume that are customized for that person, it's more likely that that will be used in the answer because it's personalized for that person. So your red check shirt example.
Can I get super nerdy? Do you mind if I get insanely nerdy?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Let's talk about indexing. Okay. SEO indexing. SEO indexing is a giant table, and literally it is a giant table. Okay. In the technical side, that table is like an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. It has a keyword and it has another keyword and it maps them together to make a weight. Okay. So that's regular autocomplete, right? When you type in on your phone autocomplete, it knows the next word. It's just checking the previous words in the next word. Okay. AI, you mentioned tokens, take a little piece of that word and they make it into a chart like this, except it's also a matrix. So it's actually three-dimensional. And what that means is that instead of this keyword and how close they're related, it's literally a vector engine. And this is exactly how it works. It's called embeddings. And it's mathematically checking how close this word is to this word or this word or this word or any other potential word. Okay, or token. I use word because it's easier to understand. But token,
in relation to what the tokens you've used previously.
Right. So it takes all of this giant data set that it has and a 3D map to see how close that they are. And in the future, you're going to have an additional 4-dimensional one that is actually meant to handle over time. But we're not going to see that. That's just what the real nerds are working on. But my point is, it's like autocomplete on steroids, right? You're autocompleting any potential word. So what that means is that when Amanda puts a word, it doesn't have a direct location because all of her previous chats are a part of that matrix. And those chats are different from your chats. So her weights and measures are literally personalized to her based on her old chats. Google does not do that. Google just shows you the best based upon the one set of keywords. ChatGPT is taking all of your personalized stuff that you've ever chatted about, and it is considering that in what word comes next. What that means is what brand comes next is also dependent upon how Amanda has talked about it before. If she has mentioned Macy's before, or she's mentioned Dillard's before, or maybe she's a Nordstrom girl. I don't know how much Branch pays, but if she has mentioned Nordstrom before, it's more likely that Nordstrom is close to that word. So I'm going a little too nerdy, but the point is that it will be personalized, and it is already personalized. And the only reason they're not talking about it is because everybody's still trying to understand how it's going to impact them. At least
it's really neat to hear it described that way. Thank you for your moment of nerdiness there.
It's autocomplete in 3 dimensions. Well, I just like to leave these podcasts with this one thing, which is, and I kind of said it before, but go out there, do something nice, do something kind. I'm not perfect at it by any means, But we all got to leave the better world a better place. And if our jobs can do that, and the way that we work does that, and then we're all better off. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is just keep pounding, keep working hard, and if you're working hard for people, hopefully the mistakes that you make get overlooked.
Yeah. And don't forget to bring the humanity, which you have done beautifully for
Absolutely.
us here today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. This
Thank
was
you.
awesome. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
the
Thank you,
me,
Matt.
guys.
conversation. All right. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please leave a review wherever you listen to this and share with someone trying to grow their career or their business. Until next time, keep growing.